This video is best viewed in full screen mode, and on YouTube that's this icon right here. And if you have a high bandwidth connection, you also want to watch it in HD, which is this icon right here. In addition to your normal merge fields, you could also create what I call a user-defined field. So if we go over here and we look at this document right here, you have your JD name, which is a normal merge field, your credit score of, and this here, basically if you put anything in a bracket and enter that into a document and it can't find that field anywhere in the system, then it's going to look at that as a field that you entered in that you want to populate manually. So let's just take a look here at what happens when we do that. We're going to say document, create document, and it says enter value for credit score. So what this is saying is, hey, this value isn't anywhere in the system. So you'd enter in that value, select your judgment debtor, and there you got it. Tamara Bourne, your credit score of 750 could be damaged if you don't pay me. So that scenario may never come up for you. You may never want to use that feature, but if you ever decide that you wanted to, it is available. Okay, and I want to talk about RTF documents and some anomalies that you can get, especially if you're using Microsoft Word to create your templates. Whenever possible, try to use WordPad. It'll create an RTF document. But if you want to use Microsoft Word, just a few things you have to keep in mind is, let's say you go and you create a document and you have this field in here, JD name, and you're looking at it and you know it's typed in there perfectly correctly, and you go and you create your document, and yet the field is still showing there. It didn't get populated with the field from the database. What has happened is that even though this looks like there's no spaces and no any weird characters in there, internally Microsoft Word may put in a whole bunch of really strange characters, invisible characters, inside of this field. So when the system goes in there and looks for that field name to try to replace it with the data from the database, it just can't find it. So if you get the scenario where you're looking at it and you say, hey, I know I got it typed right, it's exactly what it's supposed to be, and it's just not being populated, erase it, retype it in, or even best case scenario, say show merge field, right click and select copy, and then paste it in, and that'll probably take care of your problem. So I just want to make you aware of that anomaly. Up until this point in the video, we've probably covered the scenarios that you're going to use in regards to printing for about 90% of what you're going to do. But let's just go over a few other things to make sure you're fully up to speed on all the possibilities. Let's talk about printing something out of this grid here. If we look at our merge fields, we see that the description is this field right here. So I want to show you a document that we're going to populate, and it's this one right here. Dear Sheriff, please pick up this vehicle, and right here is where you want to put in the description of the vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and select that, and what you notice is it brings up this list, and it's because we put in a field, but there's 3 rows in that grid, so it doesn't know which row to pull that information from. So you just need to say this is the vehicle that you want to show up in that document. You just select that grid row, and you selected row, and then there you go. It pulled in the field and populated the description right here. Okay, now let's say that you just want to print out this grid. You just want to print that into some sort of report. So if we show the merge fields, those are the merge field names. I'm going to show you a document here. And this here is the document that we're going to create. And I'm trying to show you here is these merge fields correspond to these merge fields. But what we did in here is we added a -1 to everything in this row, a -2, a -3, and what that's going to tell the system is that you want to pull the information from row 1. This means pull the information from row 2, row 3, row 4, etc. And when you're creating a report like this, basically what you want to do is you just want to create more rows than you think you'll ever use, and the ones you're not using will end up blank, and you can either leave them in your document or you can just cut them away after it's created. But let's go ahead and run this document and show you what happens. Now this is going to come up because you had all those extra rows in there, and all those extra rows are filled in with blank fields. So when you see this come up, you don't need to worry about it too much because you realize that those are all just blank fields in your form. But you can go ahead and scroll down, take a look at it, make sure everything makes sense. And then there's your document, and it listed the 3 rows, and it just pulled them exactly over from there, and now you have them in your report. So that is how you deal with a scenario where you want to pull out multiple grid rows. You want to print the whole grid, you just use the -1, -2, etc. All right, now we're getting way down into the minutia. But one other thing I want to show you is we're going to create a document here. And this, we call it a judgment debtor summary. And it's got the judgment debtor's name in here, and this is the important thing I want to make you aware of. And it's a lot like our other report, except it doesn't have the judgment debtor column, because we don't need that. Because in this scenario, we're only going to pull out the information for this particular judgment debtor. So we're going to close that, and we're going to create that document. And it's going to ask us, and this is important, it's asking us which judgment debtor that do you want. So I'm going to select Tamara Bourne. And because the system asks you which judgment debtor you want, which means that you, by design, only want this to be about a specific judgment debtor, then the system is smart enough to know when it prints out these rows, it's going to skip this one for Jill Jackson, because the system knows that you only want to print out the data for Tamara Bourne. So we'll say use selected item, and it's going to bring this up again because we have rows that are going to be blank in the form. And then there you go. And shrink this down a little bit. And what it did is we plugged in Tamara's name because that's the one we selected, and then when it went out and populated this grid, it went through and said, oh, okay, you only want information on Tamara Bourne, so when I populate this grid, I am not going to pull out the information for Jill Jackson. And just an FYI, if you had one of these that was blank and you hadn't selected judgment debtor's name yet, it would pull that out too. So that's basically what's going on there. That's something that you may use if you want to print out a report just about one particular judgment debtor. Click on the link to move to the next part of the video series.